We always intro the episode with just a tell me what you do.
I just make YouTube videos about opening Pokemon cards, and specifically, like inside of that niche, I do what is called master set collecting. So every, 2 to 3 months, a new Pokemon card set comes out, and a master set is just collecting everything that you can pull from packs. So every variant card, every special illustration rare, all the expensive stuff, and putting them all in a binder. So that's what I just film myself doing that and throw it up on YouTube, and somehow people watch.
You failed to mention how bloody quick you do the master sets,
Yeah, I do
which
try to be
is
quick. Yeah.
yeah, it's criminal how quickly they get done.
Yeah,
My
it's
goodness.
usually like 2 days later. Yeah, I always like to caveat that, like saying what I do is I nobody should do it the way I do it. I encourage everybody to collect Pokemon cards. It's real well, maybe not so much so in this environment right now, but it is a very fun and fulfilling hobby in my mind, especially if you have like that like collector's bug. But yeah, doing it as fast as I do, I'm doing it specifically right to move on to the next thing, to make a different type of video, to finish a different video series. And I really probably shouldn't do that. I probably should lean into the like the hunt of it more, but you know, the hunt of it for me is really fast. So, I'm paying a little bit more of a higher market price to complete these sets than other folks really should. So I always like to caveat and say, like, chill out, take it at your own pace. My pace just happens to be fast.
You said like the little like collective bug. I try to complete games 100%, whether it be
Yeah.
trophies or the whole like, trying to find that 100%, whatever it is great for me. Was Pokemon the first thing that you got that bug for? Is it master sets or did it, debut somewhere earlier on?
No, it actually wasn't. So I've been like a collector my whole life, but I do want to circle back to what you said specifically about like how you play games, because that's also how I think about Pokemon collecting. So we'll circle back to that. But no, for me, I grew up in the early 90s, or in the mid 90s, all that kind of stuff. And like I said, I really have been a collector my whole life. The first thing that got me in the early mid 90s was Beanie Babies. I don't know, you might not remember those,
I know
but
of Beanie Babies,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So Beanie Babies, like when I was 4 or 5 years old, going to all the shows with my dad, being like, I got to get this Beanie Baby, I got to get that Beanie Baby, and I wanted them all. And then Pokemon came out, and that was obviously a different animal entirely. But the like my family, my grandparents made their living doing, like yard sales. We call them yard sales, or like thrift stores. Like they would always sell stuff that way, right? They would basically take junk and sell it. Like my uncle owns an auction house, that kind of stuff. So we've always been in that space of just like collecting stuff and hoarding all of our things. And, so it comes naturally to me. I've just always collected really anything I can get my hands on. It's bad. It's bad. So luckily, I've been able to focus with Pokemon and like transition some of those other collections into like a single point. After, especially after having kids, I need like quiet hobbies. You know what I mean? I can't like sit down for hours at a time and go do loud things or like build Lego yet or anything. So I have been slowly transitioning away from other hobbies, just and focusing on Pokemon.
From what I could see as well, the first episode or the first video of you doing a master set was Paldea Evolved. Were you
Mhm.
master setting before you started the YouTube, or was that the first one that you really like honed in on?
So yeah, I've collected for a long time. I watched a YouTuber, his name was Mr. Mewman, and he did similar like master set flip through videos and did them all throughout the Sword and Shield era and all that kind of stuff. And he just quit. I think he had a second kid and couldn't dedicate the time to making videos or something like that. And everybody on like Reddit, I'm terminally online, right? As you would expect of somebody who makes YouTube videos. So, I collected then, and I always liked seeing the master sets from him and stuff. But I did not usually focus on master set collecting until, like I said, around uh, Crown Zenith, and well, maybe a little bit before Crown Zenith, my son was born, and I well, actually a while before Crown Zenith, my son was born. So no, I guess I had transitioned into master set collecting and just followed along with videos. But anyway, I would see on Reddit and stuff like that that people were either asking for his videos, like, or Paldea Evolved was such a gigantic set that nobody had a video of it, and I was filling out my own master set binder, and I had to rebinder it, I think 4 times, because I missed a spot or whatever. So I was just like, okay, I got this thing finished, I might as well throw up a quick video. I did not intend in any way, shape, or form to like continue producing routine videos, you know what I mean? So I just put one up there for people on Reddit to view, and it grew from there.
And you, unlike a lot of other folk who will just strictly do English, you also, I don't know for the most part if you do it for every set, but you also try to do the Japanese set as well. Um,
It's yeah, it's sort of become the way they're releasing sets right now, with everything being much smaller as opposed to, 2 Japanese master sets being combined into one English master set, because these sets are so tiny, like 200 cards. Yeah, it just makes sense to fill out the binder with something else. And in all honesty, there's like, for me as a quote unquote YouTuber, there's a content gap in between English set releases anyway. So I'm opening up the Japanese. I don't tend to hunt the Japanese master set very quickly like I do English, right? I will wait for those market prices to settle. Absolutely. Like my hobby funds are not unlimited, and I need to keep those focused on English master set collecting because the prices have gone so crazy. So I might not get, like, for the new set Chaos Rising in English, and the Japanese equivalent was Ninja Spinner. I don't know that I'll spend an extra 400 or 500 bucks on a Gold Greninja in Japanese when I've got the Gold Greninja in English. You know what I
mhm.
mean? But eventually, if it comes around, I might complete that master set as well.
You do specifically do master sets, but you have your own personal collection on the side as well.
I focus even my personal collection around master sets, to be honest. Like, of course, I have stuff. I have one card left from my childhood, and it's like a beat up old Venusaur from base set.
Mm.
So I will occasionally, pick up some vintage stuff that is nostalgic for me. Like, what's a good example? Like Southern Islands. If you remember the Southern Islands set, like I collected that when I was a kid in Japanese. Like it was like a little tri-card envelope postcard set type of setup. And so, I recently got that, just like in the background, just for my own little personal collection stuff. I don't do slabs too much. As you can see behind me, this setup, that's my filming setup. It's an absolute mess. There's crap sitting there all over the place. So I'm sure there are, cards I haven't shown off on the channel before, or slabs randomly thrown in a pile somewhere. But yeah, usually I focus my collecting, even in my personal collection, with master sets, and just try to attack one set at a time. If I want to do a vintage set, then I'll do one of the vintage sets and just focus on it until it's done.
Do you have, I mean, in your vicinity right now, is there one card that you're like, fuck yeah, look at this?
Yeah, hold on. These are they're not like high ratings or anything. These are from Stormfront. These are the, kind of redrawn base set Charmander line from Mitsuhiro Arita from Stormfront. And the only reason I would say it's a flex is just because the prices on them have gone so crazy. I bought these forever ago. Like, the Charmander's an 8, the Charmeleon's a 6, and the Charizard is a 7. But I got them all for like $120 together. You know what I mean? So,
Oh,
like, that's more expensive now. So it's not a flex, but I'm glad to have them now. I'll show off one more thing, and this is an odd flex, okay? So this is an original painting from the artist that I had somebody in Japan go to a gallery show that the artist was putting on and purchase this for me and ship it to me.
very sick. I don't have that kind of flex. I think the fact that
Well, it's not that much of a flex. In all honesty, there are Pokemon cards that I have that were more expensive than that original painting, but which is crazy to me. But
But the thing is like what's great is that like for us, we can sit here and look at like numeric value for cards, whether it be like market or whatever. But that's not where it's really at for me, at least. There's a lot of cheaper cards that I still have in my binder beside the felt hat Pikachu because I just think it's such nice artwork. It could be
yeah,
just a random Japanese full art for £3, but
mhm.
it's a beautiful piece, and I'll get that in Japanese just so it's cheaper. I don't really care to flip anything.
Oh,
Um,
100%. The Paldea evolved. We were talking about Paldea evolved. The Paldea evolved Magikarp is a great example. It's always been cheaper in Japanese, and it's the same artwork, man. And
yeah,
that's actually the really cool thing about master set collecting, is that every card matters. It's not just like the most expensive chase card is the only thing you want in your binder or whatever. Like, For again, going all the way back to Paldea Evolved, I opened because you could at the time, and it was cheap to open. They were like $90 a booster box. I opened probably 10, 12 booster boxes of that set and never pulled a Quaxwell Reverse Hollow. And like that was the most important card like for a day or two of my life, in paying attention to the Paldea Evolved Master Set. A Reverse Hollow was the most important card in the world to me, which I think is pretty cool, specifically about Master Set collecting. So
Is there a card that you have not got yet that you still have in your eyeline that you're going to get eventually, but you haven't yet?
not really, just because I mean there are cards I know I will never get. So they're out of my brain. Don't care about them. You know what I mean? Like I'm never gonna have a gold star collection. I'm never gonna have like a legendary collection master set. Would love to, but the cost is just too high. And my hobby space is to keep up with and eventually complete older sets as well. It is not to, for example, go after like multiple $1,000 value cards. I could complete, 5 master sets for that. So I don't have any single particular collecting goal in mind as far as a single card. I would say like there are master set goals that I have. Like I would love to have a, quote unquote master set of all of like the gold XY era cards. So, I'll go to a show and occasionally if I find one for a decent enough price, I'll pick up one or two at a time. It's not anything I go after aggressively. It's just if I find them, I add them to the binder. So
Little two-parter. What has been your favorite master set to complete, and what's been your least favorite master set to complete?
my least favorite is an easy one. That was Prismatic Evolutions. That set is just not. It's just not fun. It just wasn't. And what is annoying about that is that they kind of just did it better with Black Bolt White Flare. And that still wasn't that great. That was still kind of a grind and kind of a slog. And then Ascended Heroes was also a big gigantic master set like that, and that set rocked. So they're figuring out the giant mountain to climb set formula,
But
but
to you, what was the difference between the likes of Prismatic and Ascended? What did they do better comparative to those two sets?
I the pull rates. I think if you look at pull rate data, it's going to show that Prismatic Evolutions had a better pull rate than both of those sets. It doesn't. I think people are messing or like including God Pack data or something to skew those like special illustration rare pull rates. But the lack of inclusion of illustration rares also really hurt it. And the extra texture of like the Pokeballs and Master Balls was kind of cool, but it just didn't lend itself to like a very fun collecting experience when you only pulled a Master Ball in every like 25 packs or whatever it was. It was just it wasn't a fun experience. Whereas something like Ascended Heroes, you know, they had changed their printing strategy at the time, so even though it was still impossible to get product, it was like less impossible. You know what I mean? Like people found Ascended Heroes occasionally in the wild, and it wasn't such a nightmare to rip. And I don't know, it was just like that huge collection of SIRs was just more fun to me than the Evolution set, I guess,
After a long work day, you tell me what you do as well. It's a hard day, especially also if you go home and you're having to sort the kids out and do your YouTube at the same time. It could be stressful. What do you do to wind down the night?
I don't wind down in the night actually. So I wind down with my kids. So when I get home, from the stressful workday, this is going to get me going on a rant and a tangent, but we live in this strange world where, we kind of send our kids away for somebody else to take care of them, and then we get them for like 2 to 3 hours every night before bedtime after work, you know what I mean? And I try to maximize those 2 to 3 hours with my kids, and that's where we do our relaxing. We go to the park, we hang out together, and when I come home, get them to bed, all that kind of stuff, I just go back to work doing the YouTube stuff, right? So I like that is also relaxing to me in full transparency. If it wasn't, that is how I relaxed at nighttime before filming videos. So it's still what I do. I just have a camera in front of me now, if that makes sense. So, any time after work is relaxation time to me a little bit. And just now sometimes instead of ripping a couple packs before I go to bed, or flipping through a binder before I go to bed, it might take until like 2, 3 a.m. to film and edit a video and then upload it, you know. So it takes a little bit longer, but it's still very relaxing. So